Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting matchup in the Farmers League between Fredinhiovic and Splay. And I think I can speak for all of us that we were looking forward to this matchup because those two players, even though they're very, very strong, have not played against each other that often. And so I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what they can bring to the table. So Splay, of course, has been a lot less active in recent years, but I still consider him the best player of the whole lot if he actually practices and actually gets back into shape. And I think that's something he might have been doing together with Gummibear on Daddy Tuesday. So let's see what he can bring to the table here. And of course, in the blue, we have Fredinhiovic, who should win this tournament because the whole point of doing this tournament is actually so that he finally wins one, because he has consistently been below expectations in terms of results by not winning a single Couch Cup, although he came very close a lot of the times. But yeah, and already not a very good start here by Fredinhiovic. But I got news from Food Please before this game that actually Fredinhiovic did the reverse Splay in that he was drinking 4 beers before the games, expecting to win 4 times. So for those of you who don't know, Splay has this demoralizing strategy where he basically says, for each game I win, I will drink a beer. So if he wins the first game, he will drink a beer and then play on. And of course, that will slow down the reflexes of Splay a little bit, but it will be devastating for the morals of his opponent. And Fredinhiovic is like, okay, I can do even more than that. I'm just gonna drink 4 beers and still win. But I'm not sure if this is a really wise move, and already we see that it might not be a very wise move by having 3 sheep, or like the sheep out here, sheep here, the ibex, and then now bringing in the boar. Of course, you want to bring in a lot of food early on, but yeah, it seems a little bit messy here. But let's talk about the map and the civilization. So we're playing on Arena. That's an interesting choice here. It's kind of an anti-Splay map, so maybe Freddy picked this map. I should have looked at the notes beforehand, but of course I didn't, because before this match, we were actually drafting the civilizations for Lily Vanilli, who is right now playing against Herr who got out of bed at 5 in the morning just to be able to play in the Farmers League. So the commitment is real here. But let's come back to this game. So we have Arena, and Splay historically didn't have the best performances on Arena. There was one famous game where he went for a 5 town center boom, but was out-boomed by an opponent who only had 3 town centers. But then he had a very strong performance in one tournament against Food Please, where he did a long swordsman ram push across the map. And so I think he knows how to play this map, but yeah, it all depends on execution. Now, in terms of civilizations, Fredinhiovic has the Mayans, which I don't like at all. It's not one of the strong arena civs these days. And yes, there are a lot of civs banned, but still there should be one stronger option out there than the Mayans of all things. I know Mayans have been played in the past on Arena, but I just don't think these days it's a good pick. I don't see what it brings to the table. Whereas Splay maybe he did his homework. He is going for the Cumans, and the Cumans can be very strong on Arena. And Splay actually taunting his opponents. He's like ready for the Cuman boom, and he's like, "Oh, I haven't played in a while. I don't. Will I manage to do the Cuman boom? Ha ha ha." But I think Splay might actually have something in store for us. Meanwhile, both players, still trying to get their economy running, as is the case. Splay now clicking up to the feudal age at around 21 pop, whereas Fredinhiovic at 19 pop. Did he lose a villager, or maybe he was just a little bit idle? I think he probably was a little bit idle, or did he get a loom? He did get a loom, whereas Splay didn't get a loom. So already I would say advantage here for Splay not having to go for loom earlier means he has one more villager working, and now he has a lot of sheep still underneath the town center, to get in this juicy food that you need for the cumin boom. So the cumin boom basically means you're making use of the unique bonus of the cumins, which is that you're able to build a second town center in the feudal age and get ahead in villages of your opponent. But also there's a different strategy you can do with the cumins, and that is why maybe Splay Buzzer said that he was gonna do the cumin boom, and that is that you can build a siege workshop. So what people tend to do is go for a siege workshop in feudal age and then batter down the walls and do kind of like a tower rush and ram push. And both of these strategies could be devastating against the Fredinhiovic, who just maybe going for a fast castle Mayans, weird Mayans castle drop strategy or something. As I said, the Mayans not the best civilization here, so it's not quite clear what he is going for. Now Fredinhiovic, I think, should make his way up to. He's late to the feudal age actually. He's already at 25 villages. He did get loom. So that's like 20, 26, 27 villages. So that's very late. Typically these days you go up at 25, 23 pop even. I think there's some 22 pop fast castle strategies here. So yes, the Mayans get a villager extra, so you have one more villager here. But overall, I don't think it's the cleanest of builds here by Fredinhiovic, but I think he will be able to get up to the next age, letting the scout in from Splay Buzzer, although that is a mistake, I think, because this scout can be very annoying, and also the scout will be able to see exactly what Fredinhiovic is doing, and Fredinhiovic is going for the barracks here. He wants to drop a stable and then control the center, control for relics, and then probably go forward for some kind of aggression in the castle age. But meanwhile, Splay Buzzer in the feudal age actually doing the cumin strategy, the cumin boom in the feudal age, and I think we can soon see that in terms of villagers. Still, it's only one ahead, but given that Fredinhiovic actually started with one villager more, there must have been something else that was happening in Fredinhovic's base. But yeah, very nicely done here by Splay Buzzer, and I think what we can see here is that this is not Splay Buzzer just winging it. This is Splay Buzzer having a clear strategy and very good execution, because he already has a few farms, 7 in total, up on the field, and that is very important because you want to have 2 town centers producing at all times, so you need a lot of food coming in, and the sheep is running out. But Splay Buzzer, of course, already having the farms in place. Probably going for more farms soon, having a lot of villages queued, healthy amount of food as well. So he is really doing a nice job here. Although the mining camp could have been a little bit better, could have been 1 tile off, and then the villagers could be in here. But those are just minor things, and I'm really impressed by the booming potential that Splay Buzzer demonstrates here. And yeah, you can see the village numbers, and this is why the cumin boom is just so strong, because you can just boom ahead of your opponent by already 8 villages in a very short amount of time. And even if Fredinhiovic now goes up to Castle Age and drops 2 town centers, it's going to be a long time until he can catch up in terms of villager numbers. So typically a fast castle 3 TC boom is much slower than a feudal age 2 TC boom with the cumins. Of course, this boom is very fragile, but since you were playing on arena and you're protected by the walls, it's actually a very good strategy. Also, Splay Buzzer, of course, also thinking about the castle age. So that's why he is also dropping blacksmith and market, because he wants to be ready to go up to the next age if required. Now finally, Fredinhiovic is in the castle age, or is on the way to castle age, I believe. Yes, he's on the way to castle age, and he's heavily on stone, so he wants to go for a castle drop. But yeah, he really needs to do damage with the castle drop as well. Already sending out a lot of villagers, and I think Splay Buzzer with the scout that was in here was able to see that. If we go to his point of view real quick, if we go to the fog wall, yes, he did see the mining camp, and I believe he saw the villages as well. So he is totally aware of the strategy of Fredinhiovic, and I think he should start walling off, and that's exactly what he's doing. And so we can see that he knows exactly what he wants. from this game. We have the house wall, we now get the barracks, which of course you need that if some units are coming in, and there it is, there is the castle drop. But if you just block it off by a second layer of walls, suddenly this castle doesn't do so much, and then you need a siege and other things, and that gives a lot of time to the opponent, Splay Buzzer in this case, to really come back into this game, utilizing the superior economy and making some military, and then repelling the attack. So I really like the position here of Splay Buzzer. I think Fredinhiovic was just a little bit sloppy, didn't have a clear idea. Also, the castle is not attacking any of the wall pieces, so castles will not auto-attack walls. Now finally he is tasking the castle to attack the walls, and of course feudal age walls are a little bit weaker, so the walls go down super quickly. I believe this is something that could be toned down slightly, the damage that castles do to walls. I think that's maybe a little bit excessive. That's almost on the level as the damage that a castle does to towers. But yeah, so now the walls have been breached, the first layer of walls has been breached, but there is a second layer behind here for Splay Buzzer, and so these plumed archers and eagles are not really able to do any damage just yet. They might do some damage on these villages, but I don't think they will be able to kill any of them. And yes, we have another layer of wall being built here, and I think if Splay Buzzer is able to plug the gap here, then we have another layer of defense, and so it's just not possible to do any easy damage here for Fredinhiovic, and meanwhile he's just falling further and further behind in terms of villages. It's 20 villages more for Splay Buzzer, and I think that's something that Freddy could do is on the back of this. I know it's hard to balance the economy, but on the back of this, he has the resources. He could just drop another town center for himself. I think that's just a contingency plan, because he sees that this aggression probably, I mean, it will do some damage, and he needs to do damage as well, but it probably is not enough to finish Splay Buzzer off that easily, because Splay Buzzer can now just bring out a mangonel and then shoot down the battering rams, and with that he can easily stall out this push here. So just a little bit of siege is enough, and also he has step lancers here, Cuban step lancers, pretty good overall. They will be able to attack the ram. They will get shot down by the plumed archers in the end, who still lack a couple of upgrades. They don't have the second attack upgrade and don't have any armor upgrades, so they could be better, but they're decent enough in killing these low numbers of step lancers. And so yeah, the blacksmith will go down soon, and then maybe Fredinhiovic will have a chance at doing some damage in the base of Splay Buzzer. I think at the same time not much is happening on the other side of the map. No second TC added. It's an 1 TC all in push, with 20 villages more for Splay Buzzer, who of course in the meantime has reached the castle age, but that was of course to be expected. And now the question is, will Fredinhiovic be able to do enough damage, or will he not be able to do that, and then in the end Splay Buzzer will steamroll him with just a much greater army? However, one thing that Splay Buzzer is missing is the armor upgrade here, and you can see that the plumed archers actually do a very good amount of damage against the step lancers. Also, we have this castle here, so for the time being, Splay Buzzer is able to repel the attack, but he's not really able to fight. And I think instead of rams, I think Splay Buzzer should have just gone for 1 or 2 mangonels, because the mangonels can just get rid of the rams from a safe distance, and then just boom ahead further, maybe just go up to him and then trap this down. But since he's the Cumans, what he could also do is go for capped ram, and yes, that's exactly what he did. And capped ram in Castle Age is no joke at all. They can just destroy buildings so quickly, and also they can soak up a lot of arrow fire. So that's the idea why Splay Buzzer actually went for the rams, because they're actually very good against the plumes. Even though they cannot kill the plumes, they can just soak up all the damage that the plumes would be doing. And so the cap drams are very good. I think the step lances, now they have the +2 upgrade, +2 armor upgrade, but still I think they need bloodlines. They need more upgrades to be really effective. But yeah, Splay Buzzer has not been threatened that much at all by the plumed archers here of Fredinhiovic, and now he's actually threatening the castle of Fredinhiovic. I don't know if I like this engagement. I think the step lances are just a little bit too weak, a little bit too few. They will kill a few of the plumes, but I don't think this attack is well advised here for Splay Buzzer. I mean, he is doing some nice damage to the castle, but the rams will get taken out, I believe, by the villagers and the plumed archers. And so I think in the end, this attack was not worth it. Splay Buzzer losing a lot of population here, but still, he is consistently 20 villagers ahead, so he can really afford to lose a lot of resources. Now, Fredinhiovic finally going for some economy upgrades, going for horse collar, going for wheelbarrow, now also going for a mangonel of his own. But yeah, he's not able to break Splay Buzzer, and the longer this goes on, the better it is for Splay Buzzer, because he can just accumulate more and more resources and also potentially boom further ahead, although he's kind of falling behind on that. He's not really producing that much from the town centers, but yeah, he just has more resources to spend, and you can see that the attack of Fredinhiovic is kind of fizzling out. Yes, he still has a lot of plumes, he has a mangonel, but he cannot really force an engagement here, or cannot really force himself into the base of Splay Buzzer. Now, I really would have liked Splay Buzzer to make a mangonel or two, because even just a lucky shot here would have been very, very strong. But I think it's fine. Step lances and rams would be enough. You just need enough of them. In terms of points, or in terms of the score, interestingly enough, Fredinhiovic is ahead by 500 points, but I think that's, I don't know where this comes from, probably scouting and kill-death ratio or something, because in terms of the game state, this is not at all how this game does play out. Splay Buzzer is also helped a little bit by the fact that he has very secure gold access. He has this gold right here and another gold in the back right here. If his golds were on the front, this push would have been much more deadly and much stronger. And yeah, the one problem for Splay Buzzer, I think, is that he does not have any stone access. Really. Now we have a forward castle here by Fredinhiovic, but I think with this amount of capped rams, I think this castle will not go up. The step lances, again, they have trouble because they just die so easily to the plumed archers. So one mangonel here could have made all the difference, but the castle still is denied, and still Fredinhiovic is not able to push in at all. And finally, Splay Buzzer thinks about going for something else, and that will be skirmishes. And that is exactly what he needs here. I mean, yeah, mangonel would have also been great, but I think skirmishes is the safe bet. They're cheap, they're effective against the archers, and then if you complement that into the existing army of capped rams and also step lances, then that should be enough to hold and potentially push back against Fredinhiovic. And now again, Splay Buzzer finally thinking about producing more and more, and again, he is 20 villages ahead, so he's keeping that village lead, and Fredinhiovic is not really expanding his economy. And that's why I said a few minutes ago, if he just had dropped the second TC just to have like a contingency plan, then this game could look very, very different. But here he's sinking everything into his army without achieving all too much. And now finally we got the elite skirmisher upgrade, we got elite skirmishers being created, and I think yeah, the plumed archers will not stand a chance against a mass of skirmishers. Of course, if it's just one skirmishers, they can easily fight that, but it's going to be more and more and more, and also it's going to be capped rams, it's going to be step lancers who now have bloodlines, so they're a lot tankier. So step lancers really benefiting from bloodlines here in this case. But yeah, so it's just a waiting game here. Fredinhiovic poking left and right, trying to find an angle of attack. Maybe he could get a villager here, but overall Splay Buzzer really nicely protected. He has this whole back area where his farms are, so that's also very nice for him. He still has enough gold, so a lot of gold available here. Just needs a lot more houses to make more skirmishes, and then I think he could push back across the map at some point. Fredinhiovic now going for the right move in this one town center kind of situation, and that is going for Imperial Age to really make some traps, to make some moves, because with a trap you can suddenly start to pressure the town centers and all the buildings. However, he still needs something else, because even if he has a trap here, there's so many rams, they can just kill the trap outright. So a trap alone is not enough to put the pressure here. He needs some melee units, something else, maybe some Eagle Warriors, something to destroy the rams and also the skirmishes. And now this is interesting. Splay Buzzer loads up the rams with skirmishes. So maybe he wants to hide them, maybe he wants to go close to the plumed archers and then eject them all. And that's exactly what he's doing, but it's kind of not really working that well, I have to say. But yeah, the skirmishes are here, and yeah, they still die to the plumed archers because they're still lacking an armor upgrade. They don't have the +2 attack, but it's already forcing such a reaction from Fredinhiovic that he has to pull back all the plumed archers, and now the rams can come into play and batter down the castle once more, and maybe this time it will be enough, because now we also have the step lances joining the fray and the skirmishes finding some value here. Fredinhiovic now reaching the Imperial Age, but I think his forward position will be lost, and this is this nice ebb and flow that Age of Empires oftentimes has, where one player is aggressive and goes forward and then he's pushed back. And that's exactly what we see with Splay Buzzer getting rid of that pesky forward castle in his face, and now he can push across the map and kill those siege workshops and the other buildings that Fredinhiovic has over there. And but now Fredinhiovic, of course, is in the Imperial Age, so he might devise a strategy against whatever Splay Buzzer has, because Splay Buzzer is still in the Castle Age. He doesn't have the access to the Imperial Age units, Imperial Age technologies, and so there is still a timing window, a possibility of pushing the tides, the pink tides of Splay Buzzer back across the map. But for now, Splay Buzzer in the driver's seat with the rams, getting rid of the monastery as well. We'll get rid of some of the houses maybe. But Fredinhiovic is, of course, already working on the counter to that, which is Eagle Warrior. He still needs a lot of upgrades, and that's where you can see the very fragile economy of Fredinhiovic. With only 46 villagers against 93 villages, he just cannot afford the upgrades. He only has normal Eagle Warriors, and those Eagle Warriors barely have any upgrades. They don't have any defense upgrades, only one attack upgrade, and probably they don't even have squires. And so they're really not a menace. They're really not as strong as you would want them to be. Also no El Dorado. And so I think a combination of elite skirmishes and step lancers still is enough against this army by Fredinhiovic. Even though Splay Buzzer is only in the Castle Age, he can really compete with the Imperial Age units. Although now he lost all his step lancers and the Eagle Warriors can come forward. But I think it's just a matter of production at this point by Splay Buzzer, who almost has 100 villages, so his economy is just flying. Look at the food economy here. This is just incredible macro management by Splay Buzzer. I think we had some pauses, but yeah, this is like over 40 farms. That is incredible. So he can just spam units left and right. I think he can just go into Hussar later in this game and then just win with pure hussars. But I think at some point he needs to go up to the next stage, and the food, he has enough food, but he could rebalance his wood a little bit and then think about going up to the next stage. Now we have the first trap out, and the trap really can project a lot of power here in the front of Splay Buzzer's base, but I think yeah, the rams, that's what I said before, the rams are just too strong. They can just roll forward and just destroy the trap, and the trap has no chance and it just goes down. And even the Eagle Warriors, who now have one more upgrade, are not enough. They're also pretty weak, or considerably weak, to the Step Lancers. So I think there's really nothing that Freddy can do, and now I think it's kind of too late to boom back into this game, because he didn't have a second town center for this entire time. If he did drop one earlier, then maybe there's a chance, but I think the economy of Splay Buzzer is just so much stronger, and by the minute Splay Buzzer just gains more and more units, more and more population, and I think it's just gonna be impossible for a Fredinhiovic to push this back. And if you think back to the situation that we had earlier, where we had Fredinhiovic at the gates of Splay Buzzer's base, now this whole space has been cleared. Splay Buzzer is back in control. He can now finally take the stone, and with that stone he can then drop a castle and then go forward, get some traps, and that's just gonna be absolutely deadly. The only thing that's still going into the favor of Fredinhiovic is the Imperial Age that he has, whereas Splay Buzzer does not have Imperial Age just yet. But if you look at the population, it's just crushing. It's 160 to 68. And yeah, even if you have the better units, it's just not going to be enough if your opponent has overwhelming numbers, and that is what Splay Buzzer has here. And so we can see that Splay Buzzer really has probably devised this strategy and really trained for this occasion. He took his opponent seriously, which is also nice for Fredinhiovic, that he is being taken seriously. So that's something that he can be proud of. However, he cannot be proud of his own strategy and also his Civ choice. I think that was just really not the best Civ choice. If he had the Turks, for instance, I probably were not available. But if he had the Turks, then this whole push would have been just a lot stronger, because the Janissaries are just much a stronger unit than the Plumed Archers, who are in the end just archers and nothing more and nothing less. Now finally we have the Elite Eagle Warrior upgrade, so that makes them a little bit stronger, more armor, a little bit more attack, more HP, but he also needs El Dorado, which gives these plumes, or these archers, these Eagle Warriors, sorry, 40 extra HP, and that's what really makes them stand out amongst other units. Now in terms of the scores, Splay Buzzer now solidly ahead of Fredinhiovic, who is still very close, which is unbelievable given the discrepancy in terms of the population. But I think if you look at the kill-death ratio, it's very much in favor of Fredinhiovic, so that's why we probably have that discrepancy. But yeah, Imperial Age now in for Splay Buzzer, who's now a little bit out of position with his Step Lancers. So the Eagle Warriors can swoop in and potentially kill a lot of the skirmishes. But really, who cares about these skirmishes? No one cares about the skirmishes. And I think the Step Lancers will just destroy the Eagle Warriors, even though they're still lacking a lot of crucial upgrades here. The Step Lancers, of course, have one rate. Well, actually, the Elite Eagle Warriors, with their bonus damage probably, actually did a fairly decent job against the Step Lancers. But the Step Lancers are faster. They can just disengage. They can just go back, wait for more upgrades to come in. And I think that's what we're going to see once we reach Imperial Age with Elite Step Lancers, with some more defense, some more attack. This is going to be a different story. Now we have a very nice AI army here coming forward with some Step Lancers and a single skirmishes, who are now trying to find something to raid. And there's actually something to raid. There's some stoners, as Lily would say, out here taking some stone. Now we have the engagement. Nice timing in principle by Fredinhiovic, just as Splay Buzzer hits Imperial Age, and that's when you know that your opponent doesn't have any of the upgrades yet, but still just the army masses are too much. And the capped rams can now be upgraded to siege rams. We have the forging coming in, we have scale barring armor coming in, we have more Step Lances coming in, and I think at this soon Splay Buzzer will be population capped even, and that's always crazy when your opponent is already population capped and you're only at around 100 population. Then you know that something is going horribly wrong, and it all comes back to this very nice Cumin boom, and I have to give Splay Buzzer a lot of credits here. He executed this boom perfectly. He had the farms down, he was able to keep his town centers running without too much market abuse. So a player like Food Please, for instance, yes, he would also be able to do the Cumin boom, but he would need the market to balance his economy. And now we have a castle here. I think the first castle by Splay Buzzer in this entire game, and he will be able to go for some trebuchets, now going for even more upgrades. Fredinhiovic, meanwhile, doesn't have much in the queue because his economy is still fragile. Now having a second town center and 70 villages, it is a little bit stronger, but still it cannot compete with the might of the Empire, with the humans of Splay Buzzer, who will now hopefully deal the finishing blow soon. He is taking his sweet time. He is basically population capped, and not a single attack is being done by him. Now going for Siege Ram, Conscription, and even, what is this upgrade even? That is the unit Silk Armor, probably. I always forget what the unique upgrades of the humans are. But that gives the some of the units extra pierce or extra armor in general. Now, elite step lancers and elite step lancers much stronger, having 1 extra pierce armor, so they're pretty strong against archer units, and also more attack, more HP, more everything. And I think this is just Splay Buzzer's game to lose now. Although the elite Eagle Warriors actually not too bad, even without Eldorado. They're dealing very, very nicely with the Step Lancers. I did not expect that, to be honest. I think that's actually very interesting, but it's just not enough. And also we have the skirmishes. Yes, they're just skirmishes, but still they are dealing damage. And we also have the Siege Rams knocking down the castle of Fredinhiovic. And this trap will get taken out by the Step Lancers. And there's just not much that Freddy can do, although Freddy now does have a castle here, killing some villagers on the stone, so projecting some power on this side. And maybe if he just has more time to boom just a little bit more, it could be enough, but I just don't see that happening. We have the Siege Rams coming in, and they will finally break into the base of Fredinhiovic. Now the score is heavily lopsided. 200 population against 80 population, and I just think it's not possible. And Fredinhiovic, drinking 4 beers, expecting 4 wins, will get what is becoming of him, because that's just too arrogant. You cannot play against a player like Splay Buzzer, who is one of the best, and just expect to win with 4 beer. That's just impossible. Now we have a very nice counter raid here by Fredinhiovic with these Eagle Warriors, still not fully upgraded Eagle Warriors, so still they could be much, much stronger, and I think this castle will still go up. A lot of kills to be found here by Fredinhiovic, but it's just not going to be enough, and the cavalry has arrived. The Step Lancers are coming in, and I think they're just going to make short work of these Eagles, and I think this castle will also be destroyed by all the Rams who are all coming back. Oh my god, Splay Buzzer. Just go forward, just destroy your opponent. There's nothing there. You broke in, you killed a few villagers, and now you're coming all the way back here. That is just a little bit too cautious for my taste. But that just goes to show that the immense respect that Splay Buzzer has for a player like Fredinhiovic, who is just very strong in execution, but just sometimes a little bit weak in terms of strategy. I mean, he has the build orders down, the micromanagement down, so it's really, really strong in that. But sometimes the strategy is just not the best, and I think the Mayan castle drop against the humans is maybe one such example, because it just lacks the punch. Yes, it's good to try to punish your opponent if he's human booming, but the plumed archers just don't have enough punch. I think it might have been better to maybe go for a monk civilization and go for a monk siege push potentially. But yeah, now it's really clear who will be the winner of this game, and it is Splay Buzzer with a Siege Ram. He is just enjoying his time, and he will be enjoying his first beer after this win. And we have the GG called by Fredinhiovic in this game, and it's 1-0 for Splay Buzzer. And we can quickly look at the timeline. The Cuman boom starting from feudal age is just way too strong. Until Fredinhiovic reached castle age, he was already behind a lot. And of course he could recover a little bit with his early aggression, but overall he was never able to come back and get the lead in terms of population. And that's just the power of the Cumans if you don't stop it. And that's why Splay Buzzer was winning. And that was the first game in the series, and I'm really, really hyped for the next one.